This video is about me going over how I record vocals and the plugins that I use to kind of mix my, well, of course, to mix my vocals and how I make them sound really clean, and at least in my opinion. So let's get into that. I'm gonna just get right into this thing here. So one of my favorite songs that I've done is this song called Sostenla. This is a banger. I'm not going to focus on the mix and mastering. Of course, that does come into play. But let me just play the song real quick.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some. Hey, sosténla, sosténla, agarrando mi cuerpo, pero ella no se de.
So you get the idea here. So as you can see, my vocals are down here. There's 3 of them. What I like doing, especially with these reggaeton vocals or songs, I like doing a center one or a stereo one, I guess, and then left and right pan them out. So I would layer my vocals, sound a little bit different on each recording. So as you can see here, let me open up this mixer. A lot of colors here. So as you can see, this is my main vocal here. So let's just play that one back.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some. Hey,
so that's the vocal by itself there. What I put on this first vocal, I mean, first of all, I grabbed this first track. I separated them into 3 individual like lead vocals. Even though they're not, I mean, they are lead vocals, right? So one's pan left, one's pan right on the right hand side here. First thing I did here, let me scroll this over here. I like putting this SSL channel thing here, plugin. It's from Waves plugin. I absolutely love this, how it sounds. I actually use a preset. It's called Darlington Silky lead vocal. At the time of recording this song, and I think the specific setup that I had for this with the microphone was the Aston Spirit. I had a Focusrite 18i20, and I did have the UAD 710 at the time of recording that as well. I just didn't have the WA2A compressor. So this is kind of where this comes in. It's a SSL channel. I don't know, it sounds phenomenal in my opinion. So if we were just to solo this.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha.
Here without these other effects on the other side. So these are called like sidechaining or sends or bus, whatever you want to call them. Just connect them to the route. So I'm not trying to make it too hard here for you guys, but so let's listen to it.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone.
So that's how it sounds with it on.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa.
So that's without it, and then.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone.
It sounds clean, man. So I did that preset, and then the only thing that I kind of play around with is turning on and off this analog switch. Or you could play around with the compression, the threshold, EQs, like lower the high end or the low end, whatever you think. My vocals different compared to everybody else's out there. But if your vocals kind of sounds like this or within that same range, maybe play around with the same settings that I have on the screen here. So it is from Waves plugin. You could always find a different SSL free plugin, but I know they always have like sales and discounts going on, especially right now for like student discounts. So if you're a student and you're making music on the side, so just go check them out. I think I bought like the Waves vocal bundle a few years ago. I don't know how far ago that was, but I remember that day. So after that, I have Nectar. I love using Nectar ever since I first bought it. This is when AI first started, kind of taking a little bit over. It was kind of new, like AI, but Nectar 3 has been one of my favorite plugins so far. This is before I started using Waves Auto Tune or Real Auto Tune, but this does a really good job. So I have the pitch all the way up to 100 because you could always change the strength here. I have it on low, and then the key I have matched to the key of the song. So this key, the key of the song is in C sharp major, and then the speed I put at 20 milliseconds. And you could always change the shift so it could sound a little bit more robotic, and then you could play around with it. I'm not gonna play around with it right now because this is exactly how I have mine. So this is with it on.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela, me pone bien caliente cuando yo...
So you can hear like the auto tone, and then I also have some harmony. I put them left and right for the main vocal here. Why did I do that? Because it sounds more full in my opinion. I don't know. I like the way it sounds. A lot of these things too is like you could always play around with it. It's gonna sound good to you, and a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, that's not the right way to use it." Who cares, man? Just do what you think sounds good, and I'm showing you exactly what I do. Just be creative, do something different. But anyways, on the harmony side of things, this is the exact settings that I had. I didn't cut out any low end or high end because the SSL channel kind of did a little bit of that, a little bit of tweaking. And then also on the EQ, if you move on to the next part, or actually before we move on, I mixed it to 40 so that way it's not too stereoized, or I don't know, whatever that word is. You know what I mean. But EQ1 took down the high ends. I don't want the booming sound of it. I lowered down a little bit on the mids here, and then I boosted a little bit of the highs because I think at that time the Aston Spirit and then the Focusrite with the UAD 710, I remember I would like boosting a little bit more. It's called like the post emphasis or pre emphasis, something like that, right? Where it boosts the high end so it could be more airy. And then with a compressor, you lower it. I put it down to negative 417.4 dB. Ratio 2:1. Attack is at 2.5. The release is at 50 milliseconds, and then 0 dB of makeup gain because I like the audio level at that for the specific recording. Then I do another EQ on it, take down a little bit more low end after I do the EQ, after the compression, and I take out some of the harsh frequencies, just a little bit, not too crazy, man, because once you start playing around and going all the way down or taking all that off, it's going to start sounding very thin. Unless you want it to sound thin, again, you could always do that if you like the way it sounds, if you like that. The de-esser, again, I boosted the highs. I cut a little bit of the high mid EQs here, boosted just a little bit again here. And then I cut down about negative 10 dB on here with the threshold. And then I cut it up to 2.5 kilohertz. So that's how I have it. That's for my voice specifically. I'm just showing you exactly what I do, the list or the order that I do this in. Last thing I finish off with is reverb. I cut a lot of the low end and the high end, and then I leave a little bit of the mid. You could always like lower it, but I'll leave it there for now. I do pre-delay 62 milliseconds. Decay is at 4.09. That's the sweet spot. I'm sure I could move it around and it won't change too much, but yeah, I'm not too dramatic with that. Width is 100. Saturation, no saturation on this one, because I do send it out to other buses with compression and doubler and reverb and stuff like that. So that's that with what I have activated here. I used to use the SL stereo, and then I just didn't like the way it sounded after a while, after like listening to it like 10 times, 20 times. I'm sure people who mix and master their own songs, like you probably listen to the song hundreds of times, and nonetheless, those are the two plugins that I used at the time of recording for this song. And then for the left and right channel, they're almost identical, just one's pan left, one pans right. SSL channel, same, SSL channel or plugin on here. Nectar, it's just a little bit different. Let's start from here. Same thing for the pitch. EQ's just slightly different. So here, let me play the left channel first, and then let me turn off the sends here.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some. Ay,
So you hear that's more to the left. Pitch EQ here, so you can hear it.
sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa.
So this is really cool. You could actually set it to where like it cuts and lowers whenever something hits a little too harsh. It actually pulls down or goes up whenever it needs that extra emphasis. Compression, negative 16 or yeah, negative 16 dB there.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone.
You see that it's staying at that same audio level, and I'm trying to make it equal to the one that's panned to the right, and then not too loud or not too much louder than the main vocal. Just wanted to sit kind of perfect, at least in my opinion, to sit kind of well together. So that way this left vocal is, capturing this side, the right vocal is capturing this side, and then the stereo one is coming straight at you. So it sounds more fuller for the song, especially since I made this reggaeton Latin song, for club ambiance or just working out. So you want that full, so you could feel, pumped. At least that's how I think about it. Next thing is EQs again, kind of similar to the main vocal. Cut the low end, cut a little bit of the muddy sound here because I didn't want the drums to be clashing with that frequency. But again, just a little bit is what I played with. Same thing with the mid to high EQs here, and then boosted a little bit of that air here because I'm compressing with the de-esser here on my vocal for S's. Even though you have a pop filter, there's different days, man. Your voice is gonna sound different. Your S's are gonna be more, So here, let me play that.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Sosténla, sosténla, esa.
You can hear right away that the S's are a little bit too harsh on the ear. At least for my headphones, I can hear that.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone.
Especially since this song has a lot of S's. And now that I'm hearing the S's, I'm hearing my own voice. I'm paying too much attention to the S's.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela.
The delay, I put a little bit of delay on the left and the right hand side. They're pretty much identical. I'll show you the right hand side just so you know that I'm not lying. Put the decay at half, 18% feedback, and I just sync them so it's the same left and right. The amount here, I just put it at 7%, nothing too crazy. 1 hertz, and then the depth of 11%. And I put echo. You could put ping pong or whatever it may be, digital tape, grunge. But I like this delay right now. It's echo, so that's pretty cool. At least it sounds cool for me. It's a little bit of ear candy if you have headphones on or with some good speakers. You can hear that kind of stuff. Reverb, same thing. I cut off a lot of the high end, low end, and then left a little bit of the mid so it could just echo, or the delay has a little bit of reverb so that way it's not too direct. Reverb helps you, open up the vocals and frequencies just so they're not as harsh, at least for my ear. Some other people might say different, but that's how I see it. Dimension, I put flanger on it so it could give you that little weird, wavy ear candy feeling to the vocals. So here.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some. Ay, sosténla, sosténla, agarrando mi.
It's just very subtle. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's very subtle on the flanger here. And I put the mix here very low. Again, all these mixes on the reverb is 25, mix on the delay is 16. I forgot to mention that. I'm sorry, but that's that. I do it because that's kind of where I like the sound at, so it's not too aggressive. It's not too distracting on the overall song, at least in my opinion. Again, right hand side here, if I turn this one on, both of them together, again, it's identical settings, 0.1 dB difference here, but everything is literally the same on all of this. Pitch, EQ, E1, same concept, cutting and lowering and bringing up emphasis on the low end or high end. Same compression, same 4:2 ratio here. Attack 10 milliseconds, 99. EQ on this one. I think on the right hand side, since left is always higher frequency, right's always a lower frequency. So I did record this one a little bit lower. So I apologize. This is a little bit different. I just cut off a little bit of the lower end because of the bass. De-esser. This is a de-essing that I did on the right hand side of the vocal. Delay, same exact settings as the delay on the left panned vocal. Same exact reverb, same exact flanger dimension settings here, same mixed. And then now let's play both of those vocals together. Actually, I'm sorry. Before I play both of those vocals together, I did have some reverb on it after the whole vocal chain. So that way everything else, again, isn't too harsh. I left that mix at 100. I lowered the wetness. I cut off a lot of the low, a little bit of the high end. And then I made the room or shape of it just medium size, nothing too crazy. So, and that's on both of them as well. So there's that. Should be exactly the same. So let's say you are recording a left and right vocal. And of course, like, again, when you're layering vocals, at least from what I do it, I use different tones in my voice. So I go higher pitch on the left hand side, lower pitch on the right hand side, and then just stay in between on the main vocal, kind of just like your normal regular voice. Or maybe you just don't know what your regular normal voice is, so just play around with your voice. It's an instrument. So next thing I did here, or let's play the left.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela, me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some. Hey.
So you hear that? Now let's hear both of these together, the pan left and right. It's gonna sound a little bit full. It's gonna give you that little ear candy with the reverb delay and that extra reverb that I have on that vocal chain.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela, me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some.
So you hear that? It sounds really good, at least, to my headphones, to my ears. Sounds awesome. And then now if you pair that together with the main vocal.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela, me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some.
That sounds awesome. And then to even make it a little bit better, just a little bit more candy, a little bit more oomph to your vocals. Thing that I did is just kind of route all these. All you got to do is click down here and then, tag them here. At the time of recording, this is what I did to this with this song, since I didn't have the compressor, the UAD, and then the Apollo Twin X. Now with the vocal chain that I have now, I think it sounds really crispy and really clean. But you could make any vocal sound really good and clean just by your performance and the way you set yourself up. And if you actually, put some effort into it, or you're just passionate about it, it comes out naturally. So the next thing I did, I'm gonna turn on all these other tracks. On the first track here, it's called the bus main. So this is it's a bus track for all these here. As you can see, if I click on them, they're all routed to the same as the main vocal is as well. So the main bus, I just put a WA2 or CLA2A. Again, I didn't have the WA2A at this point, but I love this compressor. I even love the way this digital one sounds. I just like having the analog gear. Let's play that without these.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela, me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty. Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de la novela, me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna.
So you see how just having that plug-in just on one bus brings out more of the vocals, the color. Honestly, it just sounds awesome. And then this is the exact settings I have at 40 and then at 60 here. And I actually have the same kind of settings. I changed mine a little bit actually for recording the streams, but when I record vocals, I have the same settings. After that, I have a delay track or bus, and I love this H delay from Waves. So it sounds really clean, very nice. It's very simple. Everything here is very late. It's just a clean setup. So I have it at 1/16 at 93 BPM, just matching the BPM of the song. I have the delay and the feedback knob set to this. You could always play around with it again. And then the knobs down here for modulation and filters are set there. I don't really play with the output. I did play with the dry and wet. I just lowered it a little bit. And then the analog, I just put it to 1. So let's hear how that sounds together.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de una novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some. Hey.
So I had it to where the filter, it cuts off pretty good. There's only slight delay. It's like kind of a quick delay. So it could fill up any empty spaces with the vocals, which fits perfect for this song. Sometimes you want longer delay if you have a long pauses in between lyrics, kind of like R&B or it could be any type of music, honestly. Just if you have long pauses and you just want that subtle delay playing while the music playing in the background, that's also a cool effect. I also forgot to mention that the knobs here are set a little bit lower. And then this is just, again, by ear, by taste, I guess you can say. Just lower the knobs to the volume. These controls actually control how much of the effect is played as well. So just keep that in mind when you're playing around with this. It's basically controlling your mix, but just through a bus track, which is pretty cool. And it could be a really good thing or it could be a really bad thing if you're not aware of that. Next thing that I do here is a reverb send after all these. Again, I just put a slight reverb here, cut off a little bit more of the low end, not too much like I did on the left and right panned vocals, and then a little bit of the high end, so that way in the background again it's filling up the delay and the reverb all together. So let's hear that.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de una novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some. Hey, sosténla, sosténla.
So again, you can kind of hear just a little bit of volume difference, or I guess in your ears if you're wearing headphones or listening to some speakers. You could just hear a slight change there. It sounds a little bit more pleasing, at least to me again, and more full. Next one is chorus. I put a double stereo chorus on there, and then this plugin again is from Waves. It's not even a sponsored video or anything like that. This is what I use. This is what I actually use. So I put it to the basic doubler. You don't want to go too crazy. There's so many other presets you could choose from here that sound phenomenal for your music. So you just right click on the little arrow keys, at least for mine screen right here. You could choose whichever one you want here. And then, sorry, I might be blocking it. I tried remembering. But yeah, click here. These are all the presets. And then it's pretty dope plugin, honestly. You could always play around with the settings here, the frequency, volume, the mix, the output, gain, whatever it may be. So let's hear that together. And then before I forget too, the second plugin that I have on here is a Fruity Chorus. This from FL Studio themselves. At the time, I thought this was probably much one of the better chorus plugins on FL Studio. I know there's a lot of great ones, but for some reason I was using this one for this song and I absolutely loved it. These are the exact settings, nothing too crazy, just a little bit of tweaking here and there, but nothing too crazy. Again, no wet. It's cut off, put all the way up, cross. Anyways, let me just show you how it sounds.
Sosténla, sosténla, esa muchacha se salió de una novela. Me pone bien caliente cuando ella me besa. Shawty, call my phone when you wanna come and get some. Hey, sosténla, sosténla, agarrando mi cuerpo, pero ella no se deja, no quiere que me vaya.
Again, very subtle, but it works with the complete song. Absolutely loved making this song. It was such a blast. Everything that I did with it, to automation, I was very into this, and I made an EP called Inochi, which is now our personal brand. It means life. And then hopefully I'm gonna keep on recording these videos this week. While I do some other stuff, I gotta do some other life stuff while I'm doing these. I just do these to distract myself from that. But I'm also trying to, pursue some business ventures, open up a restaurant or cafe or something along those lines. So if you guys are interested in the entrepreneurship side of things, I do upload other videos like that on this channel. I know a lot of you guys who watch, or people who are just watching, just watch music, how to, all that kind of stuff, which I don't blame you. I would like to show my life as I'm doing it, growing and doing this, and trying to balance all these things that I love doing and things that I'm interested in doing and things that I just have to do, because I'm human, and I'm sure a lot of people are kind of dealing with the same thing. So I just want to share that, just to show you you're not alone. If you find any interest, or if you like these kind of videos, please subscribe, like. It will help me out a lot, since I'm trying to grow this channel and be serious now, especially now that I'm trying to grow some businesses around this whole brand. But yeah, it'll help me out a lot. And then drop any comments if you guys need any help or have any questions regarding any setup or tools or gear that I use here right now, or maybe just random things around the room that you see, or maybe you just want to know who I am more. So I do have other videos, just random videos around here and there, and other very informational videos about the music gear. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys want me to go more in depth on mixing and mastering a whole song, it's going to be a longer video, of course. I'm more than happy to show you guys that, if you guys are willing to do that or watch that. And then I could go over some different songs. I'm probably going to show a different song vocal chains with the current gear that I have right now. So stay tuned for that, look out for that, and I'm excited to show you guys more of this. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Have a good one. Adios.